Very excited to be joined by Kobe Johnson, one of UCLA's newest additions for this coming year. Kobe, I mean, obviously it's got to be a little bit of a strange feeling being across town now, but how does it feel to be at UCLA?
No, it's definitely been a little adjustment, but no, so far it's been amazing, and I'm enjoying my time so far out here.
So logistically, did you end up moving? I mean, where were you living when you were at USC, and did you end up moving apartments, or what'd you end up doing?
Yeah, so I was in downtown SC, so I was down there for a little bit, but I was able to move pretty smoothly. It was an easy moving process over here in Westwood, so we're all settled in, and it's all good now.
How long you been in Westwood now?
Since May,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I've been out here for a little bit.
So, any big differences between the West Side versus downtown?
Just a lot more eating spots, a lot more hangout spots, and a lot nice areas. I
Yeah,
was, yeah,
yeah, that's definitely true. So take me through that recruitment process because you had it one way out of high school, and you were coming off of. I mean, that was the COVID period where it was. I'm sure it was hard to get recruiting attention, and then this period where you had the NBA draft where you'd entered your name and then also trying to do the recruiting process at the same time. What were you kind of looking for when you were approaching the recruiting process this time around?
yeah. So when I entered the transfer portal or NBA process, I was just trying to figure out where the best opportunity for me and my basketball career was at that moment. And ultimately, I talked with a lot of people, talking to my family, and we ultimately decided that heading back to college was best for me and my process. And it was a smooth process. It was a whole lot different than when I was coming out of high school. A lot more teams were calling me. A lot more people were, interested in me. So it was definitely a different process. But again, it's a blessing to be able to be in this position and just being able to take advantage of the best opportunities out there. That's what I'm gonna do. So, and UCLA was that best opportunity for me.
What were those priorities? Like when you were weighing it with your family, what were the key factors you were looking for in a school? Obviously getting to the NBA is a huge goal, but what were the things that you were saying, those are the building blocks that can get me there, and this is the coaching staff that can get me there?
Yeah, just having conversations with coaches that are able to expand my entire game, more specifically offensively. Just being able to, you know, advance my game in a variety of ranges, and just trying to figure out what schools would be able to help me with that process and help develop me for eventually the NBA. Um, Ultimately, Cronin and what the staff had to say, I love to hear it, and I couldn't pass up on the opportunity.
What was their pitch to you? I mean, kind of both ends, but offensively, you talked about being able to show a little bit more. What was their pitch to you about what you can do in this offense?
Yeah, they definitely see me in like the pick and roll offense. They know I can make plays out of pick and roll. So just being able to be more free on the offensive end and not really have to run set plays every time down. So just being able to be more independent on the offensive side, I think that's going to help me expand my game a whole lot more.
When you're kind of comparing between high school and this transfer recruiting process, out of high school, I won't say entirely flew under the radar because obviously you went to USC, you got, that's Power Five and the whole thing. But it doesn't seem like, especially with your older brother having been a, top 10 pick, top 10 ranked guy. What do you think that was due to? Was that a late growth spurt? Was it COVID kind of making things difficult to evaluate? Why do you think you kind of maybe flew a little bit under the radar?
Yeah, I think COVID did play a little factor into that, just because coaches weren't able to actually come out and watch me in person and watch me live. So I think that was just a big factor that played into it. But ultimately, I just don't think coming out of high school, a lot of coaches trusted in my ability at that time. I'm not the player I was that I am now, so it's a little hard to say. Like I see why they didn't, but I understand it, and I'm glad they didn't decide to even factor me into it, because this gave me motivation. Coming into college, just trying to prove my point, prove that I belong here. So just having that chip on my shoulder this entire way has helped me, and it's got me pretty far so far.
Do you still have that chip on your shoulder? Is that still something?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't go a day without it.
You went to USC out of high school, stayed in LA for UCLA. Was that something you wanted to do? Because you're from Wisconsin originally, right?
Mhm.
Was that something you wanted to do? Go to LA out of high school, or was it just kind of the luck of the opportunity, and then UCLA being interested after USC?
Yeah, again, it comes back to the opportunity. Coming out of high school, I still had the same mentality. Trying to go where I best fit, and ultimately, I had a lot of dream schools growing up, like every kid does, and I wanted to go to certain schools here and there, but listening to them and hearing what they can do for me, it didn't fit. So, and LA was the perfect spot for me at that moment in time. So, just being able to do that, it's helped me.
So coming into this process, you kind of had a unique process, I think, compared to some of the other transfers who've come in. Well, Eric, I'm thinking of for sure, but you were very familiar with UCLA because you've played against them at minimum twice each of the last 3 years. What was the level of familiarity with Coach Cronin? How much had you guys just kind of talked in passing before this recruiting process?
Definitely, I'm totally familiar with what Cronin and what he brings to his teams and the energy he brings to the games, and you can't ask for nothing more in a coach than a coach that's just as involved as you are. So, I love seeing Cronin get hyped up over the years. A little smack talk back and forth when we used to play against each other, but in the end, it's all good love. So, it's gonna be very fun. Playing under Cronin. We're gonna probably bash heads back and forth multiple times, but that's just because we want the best for each other. So it's going to be a very fun season.
Do you respond to that sort of coaching? That kind of I won't say in your face, but real hard coaching.
No, yeah, I definitely, I expect that from a lot of coaches. I grew up with that. I have my dad as my coach, so I understand it. I know it's nothing but love behind all that screaming and yelling. So I'm not going to take nothing personal. You can say whatever you want, but I'm just going to go out there and just play my ass off.
Yeah, and I mean, you're a full basketball family, right? Like both your parents played high level college hoops, and then your dad was your coach. Your brothers obviously played. How much do you think that has influenced kind of your development as a player?
I think it's influenced me, a ton. I grew up, with the basketball in my hands 24/7, playing outside, in the driveway with my brothers, getting into fights and all that. But I just think everyone in my family playing basketball, loving basketball, basketball being on 24/7, watching it. I think that just, you know, I kind of grew up on it. I just fell in love with it naturally.
And then in this recruiting process, was it kind of Coach Cronin from the beginning who was on you? Were there assistant coaches who were zooming with you? What was the how did this go, and how did it kind of coalesce so quickly for you?
Yeah, so when I entered the transfer portal, Cronin was on me ASAP. I kind of had the feeling Cronin really liked me as a player, so I kind of expected him to get on me ASAP. But it was really fast, and he got to talk to me real quick, and he said all the right things. And then the assistant coaches started calling, and then all the small talk, the relationship started getting built from there. And from there point on, it was just good.
And then just in terms of the other players on the team, obviously it's a largely new roster, but there are some holdovers that you've competed against. How close were you with any of these guys prior to this, to coming onto the roster, and how have those relationships kind of built?
Yeah, so I coming into UCLA, I didn't really know any of these guys like on a personal level. I heard of the names, I seen their highlights, over social media and whatnot. But so far that we all been together over these past week and a half, we built a great relationship so far with everybody that's been here, and it's just been fun in the locker room playing against each other. We've been so competitive. We're starting to figure out, who meshes with who, and who's good at what, and it's all good, and we're just having fun with it.
Who's standing out for you with the pickup games? Or anybody you look for, like, hey, I want to guard that guy or challenge myself with this, or is there anything that you're doing so far?
I wish there was just one specific person I could point out, but everybody's hooping right now, so it's been amazing to see. I don't want to jinx anything, but I think it should be a very fun season. And one thing I will say is people should expect a lot of major dunks out of William Kyle, because he can jump out of the gym.
Yeah, I was looking. His vertical is something like, I don't know. It was something crazy. It didn't look quite right. It was like 44 or 45 inches, I thought.
It's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Well, and that's high praise coming from you. I mean, you're no slouch as an athlete yourself. So I guess on this team, I mean, having played some pickup against these guys, but also heard what the coaching staff wants from you. You've talked about offensively. Where do you see yourself fitting in, just kind of general role wise? Are you going to be playing? I mean, I know all the wing positions are basically the same position this day and age, but where do you see yourself fitting in with what Cronin likes to do both defensively and offensively?
I see myself fitting in as the glue guy for this team. I'm gonna be the guy that's willing to get it done. I got, at this point in my career, I got a little experience on me, so I know what it takes. And I'm locked in, and I'm just ready to do the right things on offense, make the right plays. Make the right reads. If I don't have to score that many points, now I just focus on defense for the night. But I'm just there to win. I'm here to change the reputation of last season or whatever it was. I'm ready to turn that around. I'm ready to, bring, the winning mentality back to UCLA.
Awesome stuff, Kobe. Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, and good luck the rest of the summer.
Definitely. Thank you very much for having me.